So John, if you could please take it away and provide us with your presentation for the early warning device for underground roof collapse in coal mines.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm here to talk about a device. It's a device called the GoafWarn. It doesn't have any competition in the world for what it does. What it does is it provides early warning for something called goafs. We'll go into what some of these things are, but in terms of the agenda that I have for today, I basically just want to introduce the group, why this group exists, um, then just basically what is a GoAF, and then we'll go directly into two case studies where the GoafWarn would be used. Just wanted to say that this GoafWarn is ready for licensing. So, okay, so this is my group. I'm the person on the top left, and over the years, we've built up a sizable group. This group plays a very important role in the mandate of the CSIR in terms of strategic projects for the nation. Now, building a group like this fills in a certain gap in the national system of innovation. Most of the problems with Internet of Things, they say 80% of the problems has something to do with the edge, right? It's either your sensors are lying or the data is not connecting properly. There's some operations and maintenance issue. So we've got a team of principal engineers, senior engineers, and so on, and this team is still growing. So the reason why I introduced that is that at the end of the day, we want to have some products out there, and GoafWarn is an example of a product that's going to create some impact in society, in industry, but we also can do contract R&D for you if you're from the private sector. Okay, so now in terms of advanced Internet of Things offerings, we can do full IoT solution development from edge to local or cloud-hosted systems, including networks and security. This includes IoT device development with operations and maintenance features, open IoT platforms for those who are interested in having platforms where a multiplicity of devices and applications can rest. And we also do front-end and mobile software for IoT applications. Here's just some examples of some projects that we've done. On the top right is a radiation monitoring system, fully developed at the CSIR. It's monitoring radiation in 19 sites around South Africa. Since that's not the topic here, I'm not going to dwell on that. We also do and have done and developed subsidence monitoring systems for mined out areas. So where there are communities that are built on top on the surface, it will give you early warning that there's probably going to be a sinkhole or something of that nature. One of our main focus areas is in redesigning the electricity grid. So we want to transform the electricity grid into something that is able to better integrate renewable energy sources. We call it the smart transactive microgrid. And we want to provide not only the grid redesign features, but also tools to enable entrepreneurs to roll out their own grids. There's another project that we've been working on. This is called electronic monitoring for the Department of Correctional Services. The objective is to reduce incarceration of offenders in our overcrowded prisons. We do everything from the development of the bracelets, the technology that is there, the platforms, the front-end systems, and mobile systems that are shown here. Here are some products for the mining environment. In the center is a device called the Integrated Thermal Acoustic Device. We hope to have this ready for commercialization next year. So interested parties looking for that. What it does is it, once you get into re-entry situation into a mining environment, it will help you, the re-entry inspector, detect or tell you that there's like loose rock there for the mission that they have to actually do. Okay, so at the bottom left is the GoafWarn. We'll talk more about that. So what is a GoAF? A GoAF is essentially a collapse of a hanging wall in an underground coal mine. For ordinary persons, what looks like the roof. This is something that happens frequently during coal mining operations, and unplanned GoAFs can be pretty dangerous and have a high consequence. So apart from the rock falling on a person, the greater danger actually is the displacement of air. In a confined cavity, when the roof falls down, the displacement of the air can throw large devices, even 18-wheeler trucks, like a rag doll. So what does GoafWarn do? It provides early warning in the region of 1 minute to 10 minutes of a goaf process before the hanging wall collapses. It's battery operated or can be connected to a power source, standalone, or can be connected to a communication system in a control center. Now you might think 1 minute is not a big deal, but it is a big deal. Okay, so here's some pictures. So this is the GoafWarn device. It's sophisticated electronics. Some of its unique selling points: it's backpack size, portable, easy to install, intrinsically safe, for continuous real-time monitoring in situ. That means it's in the area of danger. Local monitoring, customizable algorithms, etc. It has a prototype system has been in operation for about 6 years in a coal mine called Matla, over a compromised section near the shaft in a pathway. As a result of this device, or the early prototype of this device, it enables 40 persons per day access into the affected area where there was a fatality. So now let's just look at the early warning application of GoafWarn. So this can be used, so the case studies that we'll look into is during stooping operations, during early warning of goafing on long walls, optimization of safe re-entry times, and safe pillar extraction. So let's look at the case study called early warning of goafs in stooping. So in the coal mining process, do I have? Okay. In the coal mining process, on the bottom left, is a board and pillar type of mining operation. And as the mining activity advances, during the coal mining operation, what you have up here is like a continuous miner. It will be cutting grooves in this cavity. These grooves will leave behind pillars. The pillars hold up the hanging wall. So eventually, after the whole mining process is completed and you've extracted most of the usable coal, there's still a lot of coal that is left there in the pillars, right? Now, on the top left there is an example of a pillar. I mean, these pillars might be 15 meters by 15 meters. Here's a pillar that is about 11 meters by 11 meters. So these pillars, the coal from these pillars can be extracted. But the thing is, once you start removing the pillar, then you're removing that which is holding the roof up. So these are usually planned goafs. So they do something called retreat mining, and they start removing the pillars closest towards the face and then start retreating backwards. During this process, as the goafing happens, what we would do is we'd place a GoafWarn somewhere there. If you can see my pointer. No, can't see my pointer. Okay, somewhere about 50 meters from the face. And after the goafing occurs, then this GoafWarn is moved backwards a little bit. Okay, and on the bottom right is an example of one of those mined out pillars where part of the coal has been extracted before there's been a collapse there. Another case study is in the early warning of goafs in longwall mining. So longwall mining is a device like this that's on the left-hand side. There's a cutting machine. It's called a longwall mining machine. And that longwall mining machine works back and forth across the coal face. That coal face might be somewhere in the region of about 250 meters long. So there can be a very large cavity that is left behind. There's self-advancing roof supports that help protect the mine operators or that longwall cutting machine operator. Now, when there's a collapse at the goafing collapse at the back, the first goaf is very critical. So the displacement of air will actually push air out down through these passageways. You know, they're called gates. And if there's anything that's standing there at that point in time, that will be expelled pretty much like a bullet in the barrel of a gun, right? So normally we'd place a GoafWarn somewhere there and somewhere there. Okay, now I think I'm about done. I've taken more time than was allocated to me. So the GoafWarn is ready for licensing. We're looking for two types of licensees. One is a manufacturing licensee and the other one is a service provider licensee. The reason why we have two licensees is that somebody has to make the GoafWarns and somebody actually has to provide the service. So that device manufacturer needs to have certain quality requirements, and it is now open for take-up. So I think with that, I'll take any questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much.